Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show with, once again, my beautiful co-host, all the way back from the DR, Dominican Republic. I wasn't invited on this trip. Yolanda M. Smith, the branthopist herself. What's up?
Hey, Dre. Oh, did he just throw some shade at me?
I'm tripping off of the hand job. Let the audience see this hand.
Look, I went and got a little henna tattoo because I was feeling myself. I was at a retreat.
Okay.
And I was really allowing, my energy to come out.
Okay.
And I had a wonderful time. I think I've actually experienced a little bit of transformation along the way. And so I'm excited to be back here with you, though, because I did miss you, boo.
Yeah, because I was sure messing up for real.
Oh, my Lord. See, that's why it takes a team. You know what? I tell people all the time, there is no I in team, and we can do nothing in this world by ourselves, right?
You hit it
and
right.
we make a good dynamic duo, if I say so myself.
Straight up Batman and Robin. I'm Batman.
I'm Robin. Okay, you can be Batman. Yeah. But I always have to rescue you. Doesn't Batman kind of rescue Robin? Okay. Gotcha. Well, today we got an exciting show. I'm super, super excited. We have a young man here. I call everybody young. But he's young. He's young. He's talented. He is, I'm excited to really talk about it.
He's the next motivator. He's following the legacy.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. So he's the next motivator of motivators.
Yeah.
And he comes from that lineage.
Yeah, he does. He does. But we're going to introduce him before we tell who his dad is. Because you know what? It's kind of like being known as
we're both thinking the same thing.
Winfrey's boyfriend or somebody else. You know what I mean?
Is it Stedman?
It is Stedman.
Okay.
But see, he does have a name, but that's how people introduce him.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we're going to bring Tyler Campbell to the stage with us.
What's up, big guy?
Welcome.
Man, listen, I could sit back and listen to y'all all day. And that's why I said it's been a joy kind of reliving some of y'all's older episodes. And so for me, I feel like I've known you before getting a chance to speak to y'all today. So above all else, keep up the great work, and thank y'all for having me on.
Thank you.
We are excited to have you. So I know we've got so much to talk about because there's so many facets to your life. But what I want to do is I just want to give you an opportunity to share with our audience a little bit about who Tyler is and Tyler Speaks and what you're up to these days, a little bit about your story and so forth. And then that way we'll bounce
we'll roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it is okay. I'm a proud Black man within this country. That is the first and foremost. I'm proud of who I am. I love my skin. I love my heart, and I feel blessed to be able to utilize my mouth to make a difference. And so for me, being able to do the things that I am now as an Amazon bestseller, an inspirational speaker, FM radio host, more than anything, I'm a proud husband and a proud father, two things that not everybody gets the chance to be. But to be able to walk in those things, I think I wake up and I put my shoes on every day, just like everybody else. Right. And I've had my shortcomings in life, just growing up in Texas. You'll get to the part about that famous father and all of those things. But as a young Black kid in this country, I struggled with identity issues big time.
Really?
I grew up on the west side of Austin, Texas, which is a predominantly white neighborhood, one of the few first Black families in the particular neighborhood of Westlake that I grew up in. And so a constant struggle and juggle for me as far as identity, and sports weren't an avenue or a way out for me early on. It wasn't something that I could lean on, whereas that was the one thing my family could always lean on. So I had a love for words. I had a deep tie-in with words and predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives, direct objects, indirect objects, comic books, getting caught by my mom underneath the bed, eating honey buns. I was that kid. I was lost in the imaginary world.
Yes.
Right. So things were broken for me on the exterior, but I could always get lost in literature. And was one of the first, one of the only people in my family to kind of have that. So a big identity as to who I was. And I eventually got into sports, was blessed to receive a football scholarship to San Diego State University. There I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I was the first person to ever play Division I college football with MS, not by Tyler's doing, but by the grace of God's doing. And what really surfaced was that the Lord took away what I thought was what we did as Campbells, that sport, that thing that identified us, especially as Black men, that was the thing that we did. And the Lord said, I'm going to take that away from you, because that thing that you tried to shun, that thing that you thought was weird, that thing that you thought was crazy, that love for words that you actually possessed, that's who you were supposed to be, designed to be, crafted to be from the very beginning. But because you were chasing a talent instead of the God-given gift that I gave you, you could have been doing this all along, but you thought you were supposed to be what everybody else decided for you to be. And I think that's a lot of us, because we watch somebody else's story. We are caught up in watching somebody else's lane, Real Housewives of Atlanta. We are watching so many other things, the Kardashians, the Love and Hip Hops, and we are watching other people's lives, expecting or thinking that that's supposed to be us. And we miss what we have been given and what we were uniquely crafted to be the entire time.
Oh man, you are speaking it. Lord have mercy, my
heart singing. So what I'm saying is I wasted time, y'all. And the thing that the young Black boy struggled with, his gift to be set free was there. My man up above had me the whole time, but I didn't have the lens to see it.
Yeah.
So I'm late to the party. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm 36 years old. You're
not late to the party. First of all, you are not late to the party. It's your time when it's your time.
That's true.
You're never late to the party, because if you got breath in your life, the parties can still go on. And you know what I tell people? The party don't start till I get there anyway.
Come on. Hey, Andre, it didn't start till she got to the DR and she got that on her hand right there. That's when the party started. But that's, at the end of the day, I tell everybody, we all have a journey and we all have a story. And thankfully, I didn't miss my ship before it sailed off to discover my purpose. And I think one of the biggest things I'm proud of today is I have peace. I have love for who I see in the mirror. And getting those things helped soften my heart so that I could find an amazing queen to love me, and that I could give her all the things that she deserves as a woman. And I don't get there without truly being obedient to rewriting wrongs in my life, and also being willing to take what was given and accept those things. And so I'm thankful. When I say miss out, I mean, I'm thankful I didn't miss the woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful. Right. I'm so incredibly thankful for that, because I met her in college and I didn't see it our freshman year together. I was 6 years later down the road. You know what I'm saying? So I mean it when I say I didn't wait too late. And that's the thing I'm most thankful for nowadays, y'all.
So Tyler, let me ask a question. You said you grew up in an era and you was like in Austin, only minority in that time frame.
Yes.
Tell me what the adjustment process was like for you. We're not even talking about the name Campbell, but what was it like for you?
Yeah, personally. So I was called a nigga for the first time when I was in the 4th grade, and I was 8 turning 9. And I had heard the term, right? Knew the term, right? Don't ever let anybody call you that term. I hear the term utilized so much amongst my people growing up, right?
Right.
But when it is called to you outside of somebody, outside of your race, and there's a level of hatred attached to it,
right?
It hurt that little boy. It isolated that little boy. It changed the experience for learning for that little boy. So it was a huge learning curve for me from the very beginning. And then watch this, I had to learn that it was a learning curve for my parents. My mother and father come from poverty in rural Tyler, Texas. That's how I got my name. And so I had to learn that, it was their first time having a child to like spend the night at a white person's house because that wasn't their childhood. Right. Segregation, Jim Crow South, like that wasn't allotted to them. So their parenting dynamic, I had to understand that was a first for them too. I remember coming home from my first sleepover, my mom was like, yo, what did they eat? Like, what did the food taste like?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And it was a stretch for them to let go, to allow their child to spend the night, not because there was hatred or anything like, it was just something they had never done before because we were growing up in a different way than what they were accustomed to. So I had to understand also to be patient with my parents because that was different for them too. So it was a big adjustment. But I will say this, when your boy got to college, I was rolling and I wasn't uncomfortable. Whereas a lot of my brothers on the team, they struggled when they got to a college campus where you are now the minority within the classroom, where the teacher does not look like you. And there's a struggle, social barrier for you to have to overcome for you to get the knowledge you're supposed to digest in school. So I felt bad because a lot of my brothers were experiencing what Tyler was experiencing at 8 years old when they were 18, 19 years old.
Yes, yes,
so I saw that when the rest of the world wouldn't. So for me, it was about helping my brothers to understand, help to listen to them, help to encourage them, because I saw what breaking a generational curse could do with my father being the first one to go to college and get a degree in our family. And because he did that, I grew up with cousins who became doctors, lawyers, teachers, and nurses, all because one country boy made it out of poverty and got a degree.
And that's all it takes to break that cycle. And that's the one. What is amazing. If we could really just understand in families, if we can get just that one to change the trajectory, but not have the family supportive. Because you know what I found, Tyler, this is really interesting. And talking with a lot of families that really, you've got that individual that aspires for more, aspires to do better things and more things. Sometimes the family is the biggest burden or the biggest handicap, because then all of a sudden they say things like, oh, now you too good for us, so you going to college now, oh, you don't want to be like us, oh, living with us wasn't good enough. I mean, and so it's even within the family that we find some of these dynamics prevalent around the hold back. You know, of course, you know, in the day they called it like sort of like the crab in a barrel.
Crab in a barrel.
Yeah. So I mean, that's powerful when you think about it from that standpoint. And I will share this real quickly too. I understand what you mean. So you had it growing up from the beginning because of where your parents were positioned, you know, and we'll, you know, I guess it ain't no secret. Can we just say who his dad is? Because people probably say, well, what is that?
Give him a few more minutes.
Give him a few more minutes.
The stew's still cooking.
The stew is still cooking. The meat is not.
Hey, we from the South. Let that gumbo stay on the stove a little bit longer.
Gumbo in it. We're gonna keep it in the pot a little longer. But the point is that you experienced it from the onset. For me, now work with me. Yeah. I was in junior high school when I got pulled into a basically all white setting. So I went from being in an all black school to literally 8th grade being plummeted into a neighborhood and a school system where then we were the minority. I can remember, this is the honest to God truth, that I was so not wanting to do this based upon what we had heard about other races and how they weren't kind to us, that I remember staying in the house for 3 months, refusing to go out and play, meet anybody or what have you, right? My brother, on the other hand, his curious butt, he was out the door day one and he's having fun. And I'm sitting here mad in the house because we had to move, right? He done assimilated and is having fun. So it really taught me very quickly to open my mind to new possibilities. So after the 3-month mark, then I start creeping out there a little bit. And you know what? Some of my best friends became white people. It was amazing because you'll realize people are people.
People are people.
But we in our minds are conditioned by what our experiences, what we hear, what we learn. And that was amazing. I can say that was my experience. So, and then so imagine me in the 8th grade, imagine these guys in college. Yeah. That is like a culture shock.
And that's where I heard, and that's the thing that you gotta, like, you really, I don't know, like, because I had been there, my heart went out to my brothers, because it was the struggle. And please, a lot of it was just saying, oh, okay, they just athletes, they not smart. And there was so much more to that.
Yes.
Tyler, what was the struggle for them? Because
it was,
I was like you. I went to a pretty much all white school. Yeah. So it was difficult for me to actually, when we had to play against all black schools.
Yeah.
I mean, because we was the ones that was getting most of taunted and so forth. But the trajectory now is you two parts of this question, because we didn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
You get called a nigga for the first time at a young age. Who do you confide and tell that to? What was their reaction? And then let's go back with the other part of that. Now you're going into college. And my question is, what were the issues that the brothers were facing going into a new environment of, now it's not all black. Now you have Caucasian teachers and professors now teaching you. You now have Caucasian teammates that you now play against, and are just as good as you, if not better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. For me, the first person I came home and told was my father. My father said, you go to school the next day and you punch him in the stomach as hard as you can immediately. Wow. And he was like, I don't care if you get in trouble. I don't care, because it may not be the first time, but if you don't handle it now,
it won't be the last.
There are going to be others who are going to put you in that hole, and they're going to continue to throw dirt on it. Mm-hmm. And so I'll never forget, the boy's name was Brian. I called him Cedar Creek Elementary on the field. I hit him as hard as I could in the stomach, and he did not get up. And so I did that. That was the first conversation. That's who I confided in. That's who I told. I told my father. That's how my father told me to deal with it. Now, there is an emotional side and social side that was still going on with Tyler, that Tyler kept struggling with. So although I handled the physical, I can't tell you how mentally that really started to screw with me in terms of how I viewed my counterparts. And I'm like you, Yolanda, like, I have some great friends. I don't want people to think it was all bad. I just knew socially there were certain conversations or certain things that were going on with me in my skin or taking place in the rest of the world that weren't conversations that I could have with them, because there was not room that they would understand where I was coming from. Yes. And that was kind of how I brought it. That's why the further isolation went for me growing up, because I knew there was only so far in conversation that we could get. When you fast forward to the brothers in college, I will give you an example, because I went to junior college before I got to D1. I had my roommate, was named Jamal Walton. He's from inner city New Orleans. Okay, John Ehret High School. The movie Hurricane Season, that basketball team that was in there with Forrest Whitaker, that's John Ehret High School. That's where my roommate went to school. My brother had never been to the library before. We are freshmen in college. He had never been to a school library before growing up in New Orleans. He said that it was there. Oftentimes they were beat up. They were depleted. There was never really a need to go there. So he struggled academically. Number one, he walked in the classroom, didn't see anybody like him. Mm-hmm. Number two, the same thing that Tyler got. Even on syllabus day, it was like a foreign language, and we just going through the syllabus the first day of class, which means there's structure.
Yes.
There's organization.
Yes.
It's not just I'm going to show up and figure this thing out as we go, right? There are deadlines.
Yes.
There is a process. Mm-hmm. And then there are resources for help. But then you feel bad because you already asking for help on day one, and we just going over a syllabus. So now you thinking, like Tyler thought, like, wow, there really must be something wrong with me because everybody else is taking the notes and I'm not.
And they get it. Yeah, they
get it. So I'm not. And then, the mentality that they also understood this because we wear our athletic gear. So you're an athlete, you're a brother, you're a football player. We know what you do.
Yes.
So they automatically know because, again, heightened sense of awareness, because where my brothers come from, they know threat. If there's anything that I learned from my brothers who are from Compton, who are from South Central LA, who are from inner city New Orleans, and who are from Dade County in Miami, Florida, my brothers were amazing with their sensors as far as danger and threat. Those things were high on their radar. They could feel it. So when they felt the threat of other people who viewed them a certain way, they got those things right off the bat. They could feel that energy, right? Because of heightened awareness of where they come from.
That's right. And those
so the sensors were high. And so they knew automatically that the school setting, that wasn't necessarily a comfortable place for them. That wasn't a safe place for them. Okay. And so when you start to view that, then you started to say, everybody just gonna get it but me. I'm going to give whatever little effort I can. I'm just gonna follow through with this thing. I'm going to do the minimum, not recognizing that if somebody would just take the time to show Jamal Walton where the library was, how to type in your codes to find the different levels of literature, how to go in and utilize these new resources, how to get to the computer lab, where to type your papers, how to do all of that stuff. You got the same resources. We just got to teach you how to do it.
Yes.
And I'm here to tell you, when I told Jamal how to do it, and I told him how to do it because I knew how to do it growing up on the west side of Austin. I knew how to do, like, I knew what the syllabus was. I understood what the first day, how to get the folders, how we organize, right? How we set a schedule. When Jamal learned that, do you know my brother was one of the top players on his football team at Clark Atlanta in Atlanta, Georgia, when he graduated. He took what I gave him, and when I dumbed it down to his language and I met him where he is, because that's all we try to do in relationships. You want to know why you don't get wrong with people? You don't meet them where they are. And you don't allow them.
Say that again. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to meet people where they are. And it's like I said, I had to meet Jamal with no judgment. I had to look back and tell my parents, like, thank you, because my brothers are struggling with resources y'all sacrificed, for me.
To me, yes.
So that took place in my life, right? Because it wasn't Jamal's fault.
No,
he just wasn't taught.
And this shows you the disparity that exists in the education. Don't get me started.
Getting ready to say, how many people actually walked away because the sensories of fear factor set in? A lot of them probably was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. So what's the point? Or you fall into the alcohol, the partying, the other things to mask your embarrassment, your less than, your inadequacy, all those social things that you know they're there before you get on campus, but you don't know how it's about to really affect you until you start walking the classrooms. Because remember, all this time in training camp, it's just us, the brothers. And you asked about the white dudes on the team. It's all love, because some of the brothers start walking away listening to the country music. Why? Because we start doing battle with each other, and so there's a level of camaraderie amongst us, and it's all just about playing the game. So getting around with your teammates, I think that's one of the easier parts, because then you got a lot of white dudes on the team who ain't never played with brothers before. You got brothers curious, so that curiosity that gets mended over, very quickly. And at the end of the day, if you can ball, you can ball. White, black, brown, real, public. If you're gonna smack me in the mouth like that, you're gonna get my respect off top.
Okay.
No cap. And that's kind of what you saw. But then we got out of the comfort and we went to class. And sometimes you have academic mentors that may not understand where some of the men are coming from. Right. I remember Jamal telling me in inner city New Orleans, he was 7, 8 years old. He was getting something out of the grocery store. His cousin was across the street. Car rolled up. His cousin was shot dead before his eyes. Car rolled off. And he just had to deal with that. He was an elementary school kid. So you don't understand why loud noises throw Jamal off. Oh, you think he's angry and you think he's crazy. No, my man just went through a traumatic experience in his youth and he never learned how to deal with it. Wow. He never had to talk to nobody about it. But if you don't meet Jamal where he is and learn his story, then y'all ain't gonna have a good academic setting when you are trying to mentor to him, trying to help him organize. And so it's a lot of time It's a lot of slow down. It's a lot of meeting people where they are. And that's where we kind of get lost as a culture, because everything in this country is about moving. You got to stay moving. You got to get
I
to the
think
next
by
step.
now the viewers see that you literally are a wealth of knowledge. It's you talking about late to the party, 36 years old. No, you right here where we need to be. Think about it too. At this
real
day
life, real
and time,
talk.
at this very moment in our country, in a day and time where so much of what we're experiencing now can really resonate with what you're talking about. Can you help the people understand, what are you doing? Because you're not just talking this just to be talking.
No.
You got some things going on.
Yeah, I do. And I want to tell you this before, and I'll move to this, and I'll really make it really quick. The one thing you need to understand, everybody who's listening in, is that my brothers, wherever I was on as a teammate, there was always an understanding, because of my family and what I come from. There was an expectation as uppity Black dude, privileged. We already know how he gonna act because he come from money, right? And so here was the grace, and this is where you gotta understand who we are as people, bro. Because once my brothers got to know me, and once they recognized I wanted empathy for them, not sympathy for them.
Big difference.
I wanted to put myself in their shoes because I needed to understand how they grew up, right? And that's a lot of time what takes place culturally, why other people can't get it outside of race, because they come with sympathy instead of empathy. We don't need you to feel sorry for what we've been through and what we've gone through. I just need you to understand why I do what I do from time to time, or why I say what I say from time to time, why I value my hair the way that I do. I need you to just see and put yourself in my shoes. And that was the one rule of thumb that my grandma was always very good. She always said, everybody has a story. And so sometimes, Tyler, you need to shut your mouth and just listen. And so that was what she would say long time ago. And so with my brothers from Compton, the Bloods I played with in junior college, the Crips I played with in junior college, all these different cultures that I wasn't privy to, when I sat down and I listened, I just shut my mouth and I listened. I learned so much from them, and the tools that they gave me paid dividends for me as to how I approach relationships in life. So you think you get a lot out of me. I give all homage to the brothers. I give it to Corey. I give it to Damone from Atlanta, Georgia. I give it to D12, who is from Detroit. I give it to those brothers because they helped shape the person you see before you. And they gave me patience because they instilled grace over me, because they allowed the chance to get to know me. And when I faltered, when I went out with them and they said, yo, TC, don't put on that red shirt. No, you can't wear red where we going. No, TC, put the blue shirt back. That ain't safe. Why? But why? So that's the way y'all grew up. You got to look at your closet and do. And they were like, yeah, that's what we come from. Ain't it sad? I'm not proud of it, but at the same time, you, my brother, I'm not going to let you walk out the house any type of way and put you in danger.
Right.
So then I have another
brotherhood that was powerful.
Yeah, I have another love for men that I'm not ashamed of, because my brothers love me, even though they didn't say I love you, but they showed me love.
And it's an action word, definitely. It's easy to say it. Can you show it?
So for me, with loving on men, it's viewed differently for me, because I don't forget 17-year-old Tyler in California for the very first time, and they took me underneath their wing. And so the speaking, the writing, the words, I have a softer, heartfelt approach to it versus most people, only because I was shown love from other men that most people don't get a chance to see.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful as a Black man, because I stand on it, because I need other people to know that we aren't so callous that we don't know how. It's just oftentimes the world doesn't give the space. And so when I speak, I have to come from a place of sincerity and heart, because I need you to know that I'm not the only Black male who's comfortable speaking from heart. I'm not the only Black male who can stand up and talk about battles with erectile dysfunction openly because of the disease that I have. I do it because I'm comfortable, because I have brothers in my life who've loved me through. so I can get to that place for you. It's not a problem. I got the brothers on my end who loved me and supported me and kept me safe.
Yeah.
So I need you to see that it's possible.
So we coming out of junior college, you're doing good, but what was the spark that led you to go to San Diego State? And let me tell you, you know what? I saw the clips, and so we're gonna put those up later. But when you think San Diego State, you really don't think that much about football. But I'm gonna tell you, one of the baddest running backs that came out of San Diego State.
Tell him.
Marshall Faulk.
The man, and he's from the southern region of the United States.
Yeah,
and he's the reason why my football program is never shamed, still to this day, about going and getting young kids from the South, particularly between Texas and Louisiana. So for me,
wait a minute. Let me.
Yeah, go ahead.
You pick San Diego State. We're gonna get to your dad in a minute.
Yeah,
over the Longhorns. Was the Longhorns even brought up in your vocabulary?
I took a recruiting visit. Okay, when I was in high school, was the number 2 running back in the state as a junior. Right. Adrian Peterson was number 1, right? So things came around athletically by the grace of God. They came around eventually athletically. And so I took a recruiting visit to my dad, to the University of Texas, to say that I did it. Okay. I never
thought about that.
So honestly, here's what I wanted. I wanted to go to Texas A&M University.
Really? Why?
I wanted to, just because at that time, everybody expected me to go to Texas, and I'm like, whatever, I'm going to A&M. Like, forget all that. But my dad told me, and he would have been okay with it, but he said, you have to think about this. So you have there's pressure at Texas. This is what it would be at Texas A&M. He said it's going to be 10 times more, because you're going to be even more of a story because of your dad going over here.
Right.
It's going to affect the locker room before you even get there, because you're going to have even more media because Earl's son came to the crosstown rival, and you're going to make it harder for you to mix with your teammates.
Right.
And he told me, I want you to think about that.
I expect you to do something. The privilege.
And if for whatever reason you don't mount up, it's just going to be harder to fit over the course of your 4 years. Forget football. We're just talking about teams. So when he said that, I ended up, there was a quarterback from my high school who was previous in my neighborhood. He went to San Diego State. He was older than me. And I saw their colors. Please think into the minds of a 17-year-old kid. Their colors were red and black. What was the dominant basketball team during the 90s that wore red and black in the NBA?
That was the Bulls, wasn't it?
So your boy loved Michael Jordan. Don't get it tangled and twisted. I love me some MJ and red and black. And so that was the color of their uniforms.
Right.
And they had palm trees. And they had the beach. I'm a Texas kid. I'm used to slapping mosquitoes everywhere that I go, like 90-degree heat. They say the hottest it got in San Diego was like 85. And then I remember bumping that song growing up. It never rains in Southern California. Right? Tony Talk. Right.
Yeah,
so that all fit for me. And that's why I wanted to go to San Diego State. That's why, having to go to junior college first, because I had alcohol issues in my past, because I didn't love that person who I saw in the mirror. So alcohol was the way I resorted to those things. And I got in trouble with the police for that. So that's why I went to junior college. But I went to junior college in California because I had a dream of getting to San Diego State. So I dreamed of it all the time. From the 16 years old on, that's where I wanted to go to school. I want to go to school so bad to San Diego State. I sent my film to them. They weren't recruiting me. I had scholarships to Missouri, A&M, Texas, Arizona State, Notre Dame when Tyrone Willingham was there, a black head coach, which I had never had. I chose San Diego State, and I was so committed. I sent my film to there. A week later, I had my scholarship, and that's what got me. I chose to go to junior college in California because it was one step closer to getting to San Diego State.
Yes.
So it was on my heart to go there.
As a young man, you were thinking strategically. That's big. That's big.
I was never ashamed of taking a big chance and betting on me. For whatever reason.
We're live. Subscribe. like, share.
This is powerful.
Follow Mr. Campbell.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
So that was me. But my wife will tell you, why did you want to go to San Diego State? She would say, because I was going and God knew you were supposed to meet me. So that's what my wife will say. That's what my wife will tell you.
That's how we gonna go. Now, I was thinking, where is she? She need to be on camera with you.
She with them kids.
Now, back to what your dad was saying, that made perfect sense.
Did it? Okay.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize when you have a high profile figure like your dad, it's almost like you have to be better to avoid the ridicule and the criticism that comes with that, especially in a locker room.
Yeah.
They don't expect you to do all that kind of stuff.
And I was comfortable, like junior college, the way that I was with my brothers in college. In junior college, they didn't have, like, my brothers came from the hood. It's a different ball game. But what it showed me was that I can walk into any circle, and as long as I'm willing to be empathetic and as long as I'm willing to listen, I can always rock with my brothers who didn't grow up the same way I did. So it was a comfort level, and the same was true in San Diego. Like, it did wonders for me. I was comfortable, and that's what my dad was kind of hinting at. Like, you're gonna make it that much tougher to win a locker room. And if you have a struggle in a locker room amongst these hundreds and some odd men that you're going to be around for the next 4 to 5 years of your life, you will be miserable. I don't care what you do on the football field.
Yeah.
So why make it 10 times harder on yourself? And so when you looked at San Diego, I was like, I need to get as far away from the Campbell name as possible and just kind of grow up. And that's what I did.
I think our audience figured out by now it's Earl Campbell.
Back to that question. Your dad is the Hall of Fame, one of the baddest running backs, period. I mean, I remember the Thanksgiving Day run. I remember the shirt being ripped off. I remember I did the best two running backs at that time that I was watching was Tony Dorsett and Earl Campbell.
Yeah, that's Uncle Tony. That's my uncle.
The ball, those are two. That's if I was fast, I'm Tony Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett.
If I'm going to run you over, I'm Earl Campbell. I had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, man.
But because your father grew up in a time frame with some of the best minority running backs, you've been privileged, not privileged. I'm not going to use the word. You've been blessed.
Blessed
to be around those guys. Tell me, what's it like to be around your dad and the late Jim Brown and the Gale Sayers and all those kind of guys, because they had to come into your environment.
So for me, so Tony is an uncle. So Tony all the time. That's Uncle TD. Tony is an uncle. Lauren, to come home and to see Lawrence Taylor, that was just
oh my God.
That was a normal. But for me, it was, you just grew up that way. Sometimes you forget that that's the way, that's your life, right? And sometimes you get caught up because you see things so frequently and your parents are so casual with it, like you don't think anything of it, right? And then you flash forward, even people like Eric Metcalf. I forgot Eric Metcalf went to the University of Texas and played for the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
Eric was like my babysitter when I was a kid, So a lot of people to see Jim Brown, right? To see Walter Payton in the younger years, to meeting the Emmitt Smiths. The one thing that always captivated me was how much they loved Dad. And I'm not talking about loving Dad, the football person. I'm talking about they loved Earl off the field. Those were the things that really stuck out. And it was that level of respect that I think I always marveled my father for. And also because my dad didn't have a dad to teach him those things, but he figured them out for himself along the way.
Yeah.
And so the way he was able to love on us as boys growing up, I thought that was special. I had a dad who was not ashamed to kiss his children on the cheek. And he didn't have anybody to teach him how to do that. So whenever I see men who didn't have a father in their lives as they grow up and they're able to father their kids, because there are some dope Black fathers out there in the
Yes, it
world.
is.
Please
You
don't
can
get it
say that
twisted.
again.
Father's Day is
Please,
coming.
please don't get it twisted.
Yes.
And the fact that you can be somebody who comes from a single parent, single mother household, and then you know how to develop another young boy into a man is perhaps one of the most marveling things that you could see through my eyes this side of the Mississippi.
Tyler, I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. we on a roll here.
Yeah.
I want to watch your time.
You've been
go ahead.
These remarkable men, strong men, powerful men.
Yeah.
And what were some of the things that you saw your father and the Lawrence Taylors and so forth going through that they probably kept quiet, but you saw it and you said, growing up, I'm going to do it differently, or I'm going to do this to make a change? Because that's what you're doing on the show. You're making a change, what we'll get to in a minute.
No, like I saw men who were very beat up. My father, for instance, 5 back surgeries, 2 knee replacements. Like I've seen men who hurt very much. And so I've also seen men with that drank a little bit more, right? That pill the pill issues, right? To cope with a gladiator sport where they were expected to perform for our entertainment, not recognizing that there's a whole level of pain element that takes place from the moment they walk into that locker room, and it follows them for the rest of their lives. So I saw men who were beat up, men whose fingers went different directions, men who could have the same conversations about their arthritis issues, their inability to hold pins, the screaming pains at night. Those were also conversations in their war room that I heard of. So my dad, obviously, he's clean now, but had substance of the pill issues, mixing them with alcohol. He struggled with that mightily. He wasn't the only one. But how else do you deal with this pain? How else do you get up and sometimes play on Sundays? You have to do. It's a sport, brother. To be honest, you got to think about it. You're kind of crazy to sit back and say, I want you to hit that person who's carrying the ball as hard as you can. And I need you to do that about 80 to 85 or 45 snaps a game.
And at that time, I need you to hit them in your knees too. They want to get you out.
So they had some stories. It wasn't the best way to cope with them, but I did see those things.
Yeah. They did what they had to do.
Your movement now.
Yeah.
Your movement now is based on your life, making a name for yourself. I like how you're doing it. I followed you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been amazed from day one, because that's some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Tell us about this book, this award-winning bestseller, and how they can get it.
Yeah,
reach out to you about
the radio show. Yeah,
that's all a God. You're
doing everything, man. Tell us more about all that.
Yeah, it's a God thing. So first and foremost, what most people don't know is that my father graduated from University of Texas with a communications degree. My dad's a speech major. Really? So a lot of people. So again, I looked at it the wrong way. The gifts were there in other ways that were already shown. I was chasing football. What God was saying was, I gave your family a speaking capability. It was in your dad. You didn't see it. You missed it. So for me, it started out as patient advocacy work as a patient with multiple sclerosis. That's how I got up in front of people and started to tell them that Black men are getting diagnosed with MS too. And
Wait a minute, Tyler. When did you find out that you had this?
Yeah, I was
21
years old. I was the first person to ever play Division I college football with MS. So I was 21 when I was diagnosed, and I think that thrusted me into the world of public speaking, because there weren't as many Black men doing it. And I believe in leaving things better than the way that you found them. I did not want another Black man to struggle with trying to find someone to look up to, someone that they could understand that they should not feel ashamed by the erectile dysfunction issues that they are having because of the lesions on their brain. that they don't have to feel like less of a man. We already have a problem going to the doctor anyway, brothers. So I know that that's a hard enough hurdle. So if somebody could find my story and my testimony to hopefully not feel alone or to not feel ashamed, that was my duty. Lift as you climb, each one reach one, each one teach one. These are slogans that are ingrained in my culture. So how do I follow that? And then to write a book. The book came about because during COVID, I said, if I die, what am I leaving my kids? What will they know about daddy? So that's how the book came. I did not think people were going to buy the book. I had time on my hands. It was COVID. So I was writing. So the ball came out, Life on Others. It became an Amazon bestseller. I don't know how. Okay. It is a God thing. That was a blessing. And so the radio show, I got the radio show here, Real Life, Real Talk in Austin. It came because there was literally a show where there were two ladies who had a show and they dropped off. They didn't want to keep doing the show. They needed somebody to fill in. So at that time, they knew I was making schools in and around Austin, speaking to the youth, giving it back. They said, can you come in and speak for an hour? I said, yeah, I can do it. I don't know anything about technology. You got to have somebody to work the boards. They said, we'll do that. You just get up there and speak. I said, I can speak about anything. They said, yeah. And so I did that one day and they said, come back the next week. And now I've been on the show for close to 3 years. It's the number one show on Saturdays. I'm on a sports network. I don't talk anything about sports. I talk life. I talk inspiration. I talk vulnerability, and I talk transparency and hope, because that's all my people have ever had.
Amazing.
Hope. That's it.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm gonna ask another question because I know we got to wrap up. You got something you want to say?
I just wanted him to be able to talk about the TV show and what he's.
Oh no, you did it.
I mean, so the speaking part though, are you available to book? You speak across the country? What How can it? Because I'm a speaker. Yeah. Sound like we got to hook up and
go to iambeast.com.
Okay.
I invested in my speaking, like I'm sure you talk. You invest in yourself. I went through Eric Thomas's speaker training before COVID hit, with ET. And so for me, it was like, you got to go swim with the sharks if you're really serious about speaking. And so I did the speaker boot camp for over 6 months. I invested in myself.
Yeah.
So it's professional to me. And so really, I've been speaking since I was 24. I just didn't know it could turn into a business.
Right.
And so I've been traveling, whether it's corporate companies, schools, etc. All of those things. I've been doing that ever since 24 years old. I'm 36 now.
You know what I like what he just said? And both of you guys, you invested in yourself. And he said something that was really, really good that people need to understand. I wish he said it again. You got to swim with the sharks.
Yeah.
You got to learn to invest in yourself and quit being afraid to fail.
Ain't it crazy? Because we as Black people, we are like the number one spender on brands, right? People make a lot of money off of us.
Purses,
stuff. So why wouldn't you take that? Yeah, why wouldn't you take that money and put it into you for a change?
I don't understand that.
So funny you would say that. So you would eat. I'm with Dr. Cheryl Wood and with DSU. Yes, I'm in Global Speakers University.
Let's go.
We're on the same level, because at the end of the day, you have to invest in yourself so that you can have a seat at the table, so that you can be in the room. Mm-hmm. And here's what I tell people all the time, because when you said earlier, you said, I'm not afraid to invest in me. And I wanted to jump up and down and shout, because people will
That's why the seats was vibrating.
Okay, it was vibrating. Because people will literally nurture everybody else around them, do all kind of other stuff, but never take the time to bet on themselves. So you know what? You speak my language, brother. I'm just telling you.
But look at what else he said. Look at what he said. And I thought it was I had just spoke about this. Generation wealth isn't necessarily dollars and cents.
No.
It's the ability to take your craft and pass it down. You had a craft from your father.
Yeah.
You created generational wealth with the ability to take your talents, put it on pen and paper. I just spoke about that. Man, we can go next one. I'm just
no, you're good. And I'm gonna give you this because I want you to watch it. If you are a fan, my dad freestyled his NFL Hall of Fame speech, and I never caught it. I don't know how I don't know if you'd have to go to Canton. I don't know if YouTube has it, but my dad, because his greatest talent
was
speaking.
Yes, it's amazing. It is so amazing.
That was my next question. I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna see you at Canton. You're going on the 30th, right?
Man, I haven't been because I'm a parent now. So here's the deal. Last time I went to Canton, my son, my oldest, was 4 years old. And I sent my dad the picture today. It was a picture of Jim Brown, because Jim is upright. He's on his cane at this time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is in the wheelchair because my dad is struggling to walk very bad at this time. And my son has his 2 fingers in his mouth. And that was the last time that I went to Canton, because now I'm a father in depth growing with your kids. So we're in summer track season. And so now my Saturdays, my weekends, they centered around him. I got the middle child is in gymnastics. You bald, I'm going gray. So I won't be there in Canton, man. I won't be there. I wish I could. It's just them kids, they grow up, they start taking your weekend and shoot. But that's what we're supposed to do. It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
It's still working. My question, I gotta check the audio real quick.
It's okay.
What was it like for you to be there alongside of your father at Canton?
So you talking about when he first got in? Yeah, when he first got in, I wish I could do it because I was so young at that time. What I remember more than anything was all these people that my dad idolized. He finally got a chance to sit at the same table.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And that meant, because Walter hadn't got in. Tony hadn't gotten in yet because dad retired earlier than they did. They played longer than dad did. So he's a first ballot Hall of Famer like before them. But to sit back and you see the Paul Hornings, the Gale Sayers, right? The Franco Harrises, the Jim Browns, that meant everything to my dad because it was the one thing that he always wanted to tell his father was that your son ended up being one of the best to ever play. Out of the 10 children, you had a son. Out of the sharecropping work that all y'all could do, out of the picking roses, the picking peas, the picking cotton, the baling hay, the poverty that y'all came from, you had a child that ended up being one of the greatest to ever play the game.
That's powerful.
Who would have thought it?
Yeah, I'll tell you something.
That's what I remember from my dad and I remember the tears, him speaking that with my grandma about, man, if dad was here, who would have thought?
I watched that Hall of Fame induction and I thought it was like breathtaking, but something else that your dad can be very proud of, the fact that he has Tyler as his son, that took a gift that he had, the gift of speech,
and rebirthed it. Yeah, that's powerful. You are something else. I mean, seriously,
I got a tear about to come out my eye.
I mean, I'm just looking at you, and I think
I don't like that, man.
You have gifts.
I'm a beast.
Beasts cry too. Beasts cry too. Crying is cleansing for the soul.
Okay, well,
man, say that, man.
I really want you. I'm excited to watch your journey. Honestly, I think that you have a great gift inside you that the world needs. I tell people all the time that when we neglect to share our gifts with the world, we rob people of our greatness.
Come on.
And it allows them to be able to be fed from what we can do. I'm watching and now having the chance to speak to you. You will never get rid of me. Just know it right now. Yolanda the Branthropist said it here that we're going to work together. There's going to be some mighty things that we can do, put you on other platforms. You're already on platforms, but people need to hear your message. Your message is powerful and it needs to be heard. And so I'm excited that, there's this opportunity. And there's also, have you ever heard of PNC? It's the Power Networking Conference. You're in Texas. That's the only reason why I ask you this, because Dr. George C. Frazier is a pioneer in our community and particularly in helping entrepreneurs to perfect their craft, but really being able to show that the power of networking is brilliant. That conference is coming up, and it's coming up in August. I'll touch base with you to definitely give you the plug in if you can break away from the kids for a day or two and maybe show your face. I'd love to introduce you to some incredible individuals out here. You may have heard of Randall Pinkett. He was on the Apprentice. These individuals involved in this. Dr. Stacey Grant, the world-renowned body language expert, Linda Clements. I mean, powerful people. But I would love to just plug you in even further than where you are.
That's what we do.
Show me where. I'm gonna look it up. I'll buy my ticket today.
You can have my discount code to get your ticket with. I'm gonna give you the discount code. You're gonna get the discount. You on the family now. But I'm telling you, there is just such great power in the message that you're delivering. And when you can show how I'm taking the way who your dad is, that's remarkable. But I'm looking at you and what you've overcome on your own. Just the fact of the identity thing is huge. I mean, talk about that. Who are you? When people cannot really understand who they are. Do you know how many people struggle with this through imposter syndrome?
Yes,
not feeling acceptance through. I mean, that's a huge piece there. But then you had the MS. I mean, now come on now. And willing to be very open and transparent about the issues that it caused. You know, you got a beautiful family. That's symbolic of the relationships that we so much want to cultivate in our Black community and brown communities. You know, we got to get back to family relationships and not normalize this stuff that single mothers is okay. Yeah, if you become one, we're going to deal with it. But that should not be the goal.
That shouldn't be the goal. And
you know what I mean? There's so much, and you're at that age where you can connect even where I can't connect. You know, I'm a little older. I could be your mama, but
I feel what you're saying. But I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? And to be able to get that message to kids that will, I'm not kids, but young people that will resonate. That's powerful, dude. That's powerful. So having the radio station is great, but if we can get it syndicated, it'd even be greater.
Hey, you know what I tell everybody all the time? I and this is me as a speaker, right? People who notice it don't listen. So number one, they end up getting some Jesus and they don't even know it. Yeah, because I use words like blessed and faithful and stuff like that. So they don't even know it because my listener is not that type of listener, right? And so it's my beginning, my 3 principles, and a powerful close. I.e., the same way I learned how to write papers when I was a kid. It came with the beginning, 3 body paragraphs, and a persuasive essay, and a powerful conclusion to leave people with. So it's kind of the same thing, but radio is just practice for speeches for me. People don't know it. Like I use it as a platform to whatever's in my head to throw it out. It's practice. And I know if some stuff sticks before I hit the stage in front of the 400, whatever the amount of people, I at least know I got practice runs behind my belt on material beforehand. So it's just a way to practice that I love. So
that's amazing,
I just commend it. And I, like I said, I think I married an amazing woman, a Black woman who was so incredibly strategic about introducing the power of therapy to me, because that was a very taboo thing. We don't do that
in our community. So what
goes on in this house.
Next episode.
That's what goes on in this house stays in this house. So those are products. A lot of things. I just want people to know the product of man that you see before you is because of the blessings of great people in my life.
Amen.
Along the way, who I listened to.
Tyler,
there we go.
Before we wrap up, leave the viewers with one of the most inspirational messages that you can leave them.
Hope is a powerful word. Hope is the word that I live by every day. And the reason being is because it's free. All right. Hope doesn't cost you anything. Hope builds room for determination. If you are determined as a human being, if you are hopeful, you're always looking for things to get better. That means you are constantly looking for a way. And if you're constantly looking for a way, you are determined. Determination leads to a positive attitude. If you are determined about something, you're not negative. You're trying to reach a goal. So therefore you are upbeat. You are uplifted. You are in charge of your own positive sense of being, which is powerful because an attitude is everything. But watch this. The determination leads to a positive attitude. A positive attitude means there's no limit to your altitude as a human being. And all of those things stem from starting with that simple word of hope. And best of all, hope is free to anybody, no matter your creed, your gender, your color, your background. Haves, have-nots. If you have hope, you can change your stars.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode. We got taken away by no other than the great himself, Mr. Tyler Campbell. I'd like to thank my girl Yolanda for being here. Coming back from the mountain. Yeah, we're speechless, but you know what, Tyler? You're coming back on the show. Talk more and more and more. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a live episode. Tune in, subscribe, like, rate, review, share, do it all. The Andre The Beast Crayton.